Welcome to the Healthcare Rewritten podcast, where we pull back the curtain on wellness, talk about trending health news, and help you find the root causes to your health conditions. As a reminder, this does not replace a one-on-one relationship with your provider, and it is not medical advice. This is for educational purposes only. Today, we are talking all about the adrenals, how they influence your mood, your hormone balance, especially in menopause, how your poop and your blood pressure can reveal the signs of burnout. We'll talk about how cortisol is not always the bad guy. So let's get into it.
And we're back for another episode.
Yes, we are. We're back and have four functioning eyes.
Four functioning eyes now. I think it was like 2.5 last time, right? Okay, so we are going to dive into everything adrenal today, right?
Mhm.
Adrenals and cortisol. There's a bunch of buzzwords and buzz topics around cortisol. So it's going to be really exciting to break down the myths, the misconceptions, and what's actually really going on and what are some tangible things that we can do to get our health back, especially our adrenal health.
And there's a lot you can do. Simple things.
Gosh. Super exciting. Let's get into it.
Yep. Okay, so let's start by what do people typically experience when they have adrenal dysregulation or HPA axis dysfunction?
Yeah, so I would say one of the most common things that individuals come in with is just no energy whatsoever, right? You wake up in the morning, you are hitting the snooze button over and over and over again. You finally drag yourself out of bed. You muster up some energy to get some coffee or get some caffeine in you. You might get a little bit of a spike in energy, but then as the midday goes on, the brain fog sets in, and then you have that afternoon crash. And then by the end of the day, right, you're just burning on fumes right now. And sometimes a lot of people end up getting that spike of energy at night, and then they're not able to fall back asleep. They're not sleeping well through the night. There's night sweats, and the cycle repeats. That's typically what I see. Now, everyone is going to be, experiencing different things, but that's probably the most common thing that I see.
Yeah, I think that one of the things I hear often from patients when I ask about their energy, they say, I have a hard time getting up, but once I get going, I'm okay.
Sure.
That's like the most common thing. Once I get going, I'm okay. Like, what does that mean? Like, are you just pushing through the fatigue? Do you actually gain energy as you go through your morning? But that's usually a really big sign that your adrenals are not functioning appropriately.
Right. And when you think about this logically, and this is with almost any health topic, if you just sit down and ask yourself what makes the most common sense, you're going to feel a lot better. Okay. And you're going to draw some very logical conclusions on what you should be doing with your health. But in the mornings, it makes complete sense that you should be able to have energy.
Yeah.
Right. It shouldn't be this much of a struggle. Right.
Yeah.
So, what are we seeing typically on labs when patients are coming in or individuals are coming into us with this dysfunction?
Honestly, they could be on either side of the spectrum with their labs. Like, we usually test things like their cortisol, right?
Yep.
We test their DHEA, we test their other hormones, like in urine, we test cortisone, which is anti-inflammatory. I'd say people who are struggling with energy, they either could have really high cortisol or really low cortisol. It just depends on the amount of stress that they're under and how long they've been under that stress.
What time would you recommend a patient gets a blood draw to test cortisol,
First thing in the morning.
and why?
Because cortisol is supposed to be highest when you get out of bed in the morning, essentially. Right. And you should make sure you're not working out beforehand because that definitely will cause a high cortisol spike. That actually happened to me. I tested my cortisol after I worked out and it was like crazy high, and I was like, whoops, probably shouldn't have done that.
And that's stress in general. I've had a couple patients who their cortisol comes back really high, and I sat down and I asked them, so how was the drive to the blood draw facility in the morning?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you would have never believed it. Someone cut me off and it was this whole mess, or that, I couldn't get logged into the portal and there was a problem at the front desk. Sometimes there's a stressor as simple as that can elevate that cortisol response too.
Yeah.
Right.
They waited for 2 hours to get their blood drawn. I actually had a patient, that reminds me, I had a patient with Graves' disease. People with Graves' disease typically have higher levels of cortisol, but this particular patient, her cortisol was astronomically high, like in the 30s. I'm like, what is going on? I asked her, I said, how was your day when you had this blood draw? She actually said, you know what, Dr. Lena, that day was actually insane. I had probably one of my most awful days as far as like my health goes.
Mm-hmm.
She had heart palpitations all day. She felt nauseous. She felt gross. She felt awful. So clearly that's going to reflect on her lab results. So
Right.
take that into consideration. But.
And then when it comes to testing cortisol and cortisone, when it comes to Dutch testing, which is where we're going to look at hormone metabolites, you really want to make sure that they mirror one another, right? You don't want one to be high and the other one to be low. What cortisone does is it basically inactivates cortisol, so we don't have too much of it. Obviously, if you're seeing really high cortisol and really low cortisone, it's a problem, and then vice versa, right? And then it can also be a problem if both are extremely high, right? Showing that there's more of an acute problem going on. And then you can see it on the opposite end of the spectrum where both are mirroring each other but really low. And this is just that chronic stress that typically we see year after year after year. Something was going on.
Yeah, they've been under that acute stress for 5 to 10 years without addressing it.
100%. What is the worst thing that you could do in the morning for your cortisol?
Look at your phone right after you wake up.
I think, yeah, that's a big one, right?
Yeah. Most people are guilty of that.
Oh, yeah.
No one's going outside and looking at the sun first thing in the morning. And I think that when we talk to patients about doing that, they say, oh, I don't have time for that.
Sure.
But they sit and they scroll on their phone for 30 minutes when they first get up.
And I would say most of us that are listening have a job or a career. If you're checking your work emails, work isn't always the most enjoyable thing, and with working comes problems. So when you check your phone, there are usually problems, right, that come up, and that's the last thing that you want to start your day with are problems, right? Yeah. One thing I love to focus on is just being with yourself in the morning. Okay, obviously, like you said, getting out in the sun, getting that near infrared is so important for you. But something that I mentioned earlier is that most people drag themselves out of bed, and before their eyes even officially open, they are going for that coffee pot. Yeah. Some people, and you can even time your coffee pots to brew the coffee ahead of time, and now it's super convenient.
Used to do that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I remember that. I always would hear the coffee going before you would even get up.
Yep. I was worse than that. I would, especially in school when I was just studying for exam after exam, I would take my Yeti and I would have my coffee in there. And when I would wake up in the morning, my coffee was still warm from me staying up until 2 a.m. studying. Oh my God. It never ended. No. But yeah, so the last thing that you want to do is, while you're dehydrated when you wake up, because you've just gone 8 hours ideally without drinking anything, is to drink something that will naturally dehydrate you. Yeah. Right. And then it's going to artificially stimulate that cortisol response and disrupt everything.
Yeah. I think that with adrenal health, there's a lot of nuance, and a lot of people don't understand that. And I think that people who come into our office a lot of times have done their research and they are so obsessed with their adrenals. But we always want to, get people to understand that the adrenals are not the primary problem. They're just responding to the problem.
Let's break down. So for everyone listening, I know we don't like making this a super science-y podcast,
but
it's
kind of fun.
I think so. You and I nerd out about this stuff, but it is important to understand a little bit of the background and structure of what are we talking about? What are the adrenals? Where are they at? And what are their primary responsibilities? So do you want to initially just break down where they are? Yeah. The two different pieces of the adrenal gland and what they produce?
Yeah. So your adrenal glands are these little organs. Yeah, they look like little puffballs. Yeah. On anatomy pictures, but they sit right on top of your kidneys.
So like a hat.
Yeah. So you have 2 kidneys, and then you have 2 adrenal glands that sit right on top. And there's 2 components to the adrenal gland. There's the adrenal medulla and the adrenal cortex. So the adrenal medulla is the inner portion, and the adrenal cortex is obviously the outer portion of the cortex. And they each produce different hormones. So
Yep.
they produce hormones. That's the biggest thing. Adrenal glands produce hormones. And they're responsible for a lot of different things. So the adrenal medulla, the inner portion, is responsible for producing things like epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine,
Yep.
which are epinephrine and norepinephrine are what do you call your adrenaline hormones, right? And then the cortex is what produces your androgens, so testosterone, DHEA, and it also produces cortisol, which is a huge buzzword we're going to talk about. But that's your stress hormone. But they also produce a hormone called aldosterone.
Yeah, this one I feel like always gets brushed under the rug,
no
and no one talks
about it.
Never.
No, I never hear people talking about it. But aldosterone is responsible for your fluid balance. Okay, so people with high blood pressure, your adrenals are something to pay attention to.
Joint swelling, right? 100%.
Yep.
So, okay, talk to me a little bit about what do people typically think of when they think of cortisol?
Bad.
Right? Evil.
Yeah. Cortisol is bad. High cortisol is bad. I see this. When I doom scroll sometimes, I'll admit that. It's inevitable for most people, but I'm not perfect. But I'll be scrolling on TikTok and I'll see a video. Someone is talking about cortisol face, moon face. And it's like, okay, sure, you have cortisol face, but and they're selling some sort of supplement to help get rid of it, but it's like you don't have cortisol face just because you have high cortisol, and you don't have high cortisol just because you have high cortisol. There's a reason behind that.
And they like to compare a lot of the symptomatology or signs with things like Addison's or Cushing's.
Yeah,
right?
Which are extreme
Correct.
adrenal issues.
On either end of that spectrum.
Yeah, that's a disease.
Now, where you keep weight, okay, and fat tissue, in response to stress and adrenals, it makes sense, right? You're going to keep fat tissue in the area to protect your vital organs.
Yep.
If you are chronically stressed out, your body is going to go into this protective mode. It's going to protect your liver. It's going to protect your lungs. It's going to protect your kidneys. It's going to protect these visceral organs so you don't have damage down the road.
Yep.
Right. And that's what everyone's main goal is, right? How can I lose this belly fat? Okay. Number one, stress is going to play a huge role in that, but I will tell you right now, and I don't like talking about this all the time, but genetics will play a role in this as well.
Where you hold fat, yeah.
Oh, 100%. And some people might have a little bit easier time, losing weight in the extremities, in the arms, or, not necessarily their midsection, but around the waist. Like, everyone is going to be able to lose weight differently, right? And genes do play a role in that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we don't gain weight the same.
I want to talk a little bit about how your cortisol can impact your thyroid. Okay. They sit on a teeter-totter together, right? And if we are chronically stressed, right? If we have this HPA axis dysfunction, essentially what happens is we have thyroid hormone called T4. We need to activate it into T3. This is what gets sent around the body. This is what helps regulate your metabolism, which is hair, skin, nails, blood pressure, weight, X, Y, Z,
Pooping.
Everything, right? Your thyroid is that master control switch.
Yeah.
And if you can't actively convert that T4 into T3, you're going to feel like garbage.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to disrupt your immune system regulation. And you almost get this endless cycle, right? So we have to figure out where we need to nip this thing in the butt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing too with thyroid, right? A lot of the thyroid medications are contraindicated with adrenal insufficiency.
Yep.
And I always, every time I get a patient come to me with a thyroid issue, I always ask them, did your doctor test your adrenals before starting you on this medication? Now, most people think it's only when they're in that disease state with like Addison's or Cushing's disease, right? That's when they're like, oh, that's the only time it's contraindicated. But realistically, if the thyroid and adrenals are not corrected, taking a thyroid medication can exacerbate the problem, putting you into adrenal insufficiency.
Correct. And that's where, if you don't address the root cause or where this dysfunction is coming from in the first place, you are never going to gain any ground. If you want to address things downstream, sure, that might help in that area for a short period of time, but it's not going to fix the upstream problem. And the upstream problem when it comes to the adrenals is something called HPA axis dysfunction. So the hypothalamic pituitary, adrenal axis. Hypothalamus, pituitary, they're going to send signals and chemicals to one another within the brain, and then they're going to communicate with the adrenal glands. Okay. And then the adrenal glands, whatever hormone is put out, will then send signals back up to the brain, and you almost have this negative feedback loop.
Yep.
And I would say 9 out of 10 times the problem exists somewhere within that connection, right? And that's where we need to start diving into testing and more root causes on what is driving it for that individual person.
Yeah. How would you say is the best way to test the adrenals?
Yeah, so Dutch testing, I feel like, gives me the most information. You can definitely get some good information on blood work, but Dutch testing, looking at how much of a metabolite we have, right? How much cortisone, how much cortisol, what do those cortisol and cortisone rhythms look like as the day goes on? You get to take a look at how well your body's outputting DHEA. Okay. You're looking at how well your body is metabolizing cortisol, right? Those are great indicators on how not only is that adrenal function, but how is the hormone being metabolized?
You can also look at epinephrine and norepinephrine too,
You can.
and dopamine. So all those hormones that come from the adrenals. Not
Yeah,
just
and those are all on organic acid tests, which is
Mhm.
built into the Dutch test or in other organic acid tests as well.
If you guys are wanting to get a Dutch test completed, you can use the link in our bio in our description below, and we can definitely get you started on the right steps.
Yep. One thing I would say is when it comes to healing the adrenals, it's not as simple as taking a supplement. There are a couple things. I mean, vitamin B12, CoQ10, selenium, zinc, those are all check boxes that I want to make sure that you have enough of. If you don't have enough of those, your adrenals are going to suffer. Vitamin C as well. And you want to make sure that you're checking those boxes, obviously from, dietary intake, and if you're not getting it there, you need to be supplementing. But you need to be finding what's beaten up the adrenals, what's causing this chronic stress in the first place. And here's what I like to explain to patients. So your adrenals, the reason they are producing cortisol a lot of times too is to increase your blood sugar through gluconeogenesis. And this isn't by mistake, right? So what happens is, if, for example, if you're running from a bear, your body's like, I'm stressed the hell out. I need an elevation in my blood sugar to have the energy to fight off that stressor. The problem is our body isn't good at differentiating running from a bear or being stressed for an exam coming up or a big work presentation or traveling. Even good stress can contribute to this too. Fasting can contribute to this. Exercise can contribute to this too. Okay, so if you are chronically having those events where your blood sugar is going really high, right, and then it's dropping back down because you have an insulin response, these big roller coaster waves, that is going to contribute to insulin resistance. Right?
Yeah. I see it plenty times where on labs, like patients will tell me, I'm not eating a lot of sugar. I'm not eating a lot of sugar. And their blood sugar comes back so high, and their insulin comes back so high, and their cortisol comes back so high.
But their triglycerides will be low most likely.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, if you're not eating sugar, then where's your stress?
Yep.
What's stressing you out?
And believe it or not, when I ask that question, 9 times out of 10 patients start crying.
Yeah.
They get that release.
Yeah. They finally feel seen.
They come clean.
Yeah.
They talk about, you know what? I can talk to them about this. Right?
Yeah.
Super powerful when that happens during an appointment.
Yeah.
Right? You see tears coming from their eyes.
Yeah.
And simultaneously you see a light bulb just click instantly. Like, oh shit, it's not just what I eat or avoiding mold or cleaning up my gut microbiome. I have to figure out what's going on. I have to audit my circle. I have to maybe quit my job or leave this person. That has to happen sometimes.
Yep. It's not okay. I don't want to say it's the best feeling ever, because it sucks in the moment that they're finally realizing what is contributing to all of their health issues. But also at the same time, it is so relieving, because as a provider, we are just constantly trying to find the stressors and help people remove them. right? But if they're not being honest about what is really stressing them out, it makes it really, really hard to put those pieces together. But when they finally find that relief
Mm-hmm.
because they're able to say it out loud, I think that in and of itself is stress relieving.
I agree. I think some of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Music to my ears
Mm-hmm.
when patients come to me, besides, hey, I'm taking my supplements, I'm exercising, from a mindset standpoint, if they tell me I hired a life coach, I hired a business coach, I started going to therapy, I built a relationship with God, those are the most powerful
Yeah.
things. And when they start doing those things, I know that they're addressing all three of those T's: traumas, toxins, thoughts, and they're going to start improving significantly more than they were before.
Yeah. Yep. People don't realize how much mental stress impacts your whole body.
No?
You notice a lot of people, I see this as a trend online too right now. People are saying you don't it's funny how all of your health problems come to fruition once you leave the toxic relationship because your body's finally out of that fight or flight response.
Mm-hmm.
Your body's trying to calm down and now you're in that chronic stress response. So your body's saying, "Oh, man, I can't keep up anymore. We're finally out of that space. I'm allowed to relax."
Yeah.
So,
Is there anything else that you want to address as far as the breakdown of how the adrenals work? Things that we see. We talked a little bit about blood sugar. We talked about the relationship with the thyroid. We broke down a little bit of the anatomy and physiology for you. Broke down a little bit of some misconceptions, and we'll dive into a couple more when we get into our Mythbusters section. But takeaways from adrenal fatigue.
yeah, well, adrenal fatigue isn't a real thing.
Right.
And you will hear this a lot from people who want to discredit the holistic health space. They say that we believe in adrenal fatigue. Well, that's not necessarily true. Adrenal fatigue isn't a real medical diagnosis, but your adrenal function can be insufficient for what your body's trying to keep up with. And you can test that and it's clinically proven and you know, almost sometimes anecdotally proven on our labs that we run on our patients. But um, you know, when it comes to the adrenals, it really just it's the simple way to put is it comes down to removing stress on the body. So we need to uncover those reasons. What is the stressor? Is it a food allergy? Is it mental stress? Is it fragrances, like in your home? Is it something in your gut? Is it a parasite? Is it a toxicity? Is it you're not getting adjusted? Is it your job? Is it your husband? Is it your kids? What are these stressors? What combination is
How often
affecting
are you
you?
eating? A bunch of different things, right?
Yep. What combination is specific to you? Because nobody's the same.
Yeah, and that's the power of working with a functional medicine doctor, a holistic practitioner, because they look at things through a different lens.
Mm-hmm.
The questions that we formulate when we're sitting down on a new patient appointment, so we can get a big picture of how you're functioning on a daily basis, so we can find out what steps need to be taken to make change.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All right. So if you're learning anything from this right now, make sure that you hit the follow button, like this video. It goes a long way in help growing our channel. And then comment down below, has your doctor ever talked to you about the HPA axis?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel tired, if you feel unmotivated, if you feel dizzy, if you feel like you are hangry sometimes, and your doctor has not discussed the HPA axis with you or the fact that there could be some dysfunction, I feel like they're dropping the ball.
Yeah. Or they're telling you it's just your anxiety. Here's a med.
How easy is that?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, they probably are experiencing anxiety, but that doesn't give you reason to just say, here, let's medicate it.
And here, for the doctors listening, and if you're not listening, whatever, but when you tell a patient it's just anxiety and they're feeling dismissed and they don't get answers and they don't know what to do, what do you think that does to them?
Mm-hmm.
It causes more anxiety.
Yeah.
You're making the problem worse.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna put a little picture up here of a shirt that I saw. I never go to the doctor, but when I had to go to the ophthalmologist, there was this girl wearing this shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take a picture of her. I took a picture of the shirt. I looked it up on Google. It says, if you're happy and you know it, thank your meds.
Oh my gosh.
Why are we glorifying that?
No, I don't know. Now, I mean, everyone is entitled to make their own decisions.
Right.
But like, that's not your only option.
Most people feel stuck and
Yeah.
feel like it is.
Yeah. And that's what sucks.
Right. That's what this podcast, that's what our content, everything is for, to know that you can take control of your own health. There are
Yeah.
things that you can do, even though that you've been convinced by your doctors, generations, that there's nothing that you can do.
I think one thing to understand about stress is that you're never going to be 100% able to remove all stress from your life. We all have jobs. We all have family members that may stress us out. We all have partners. Most of us have partners that stress us out. Kids, whatever it is, school, you're never going to be able to 100% remove those stressors. But what we want to focus on is your ability to adapt to that stress. The stress should not knock you down on your knees for 3 to 5 days at a time. You should be able to adapt to the stress. You should be able to get out of that fight or flight response, back into rest and digest. And that all comes from removing the stressors that you can control.
And I mean, chiropractic care is great at helping our nervous system regulate and adapt to stress. That's what we want to see with the spine.
Yeah.
And on top of it, what's the most popular supplement right now? I mean, maybe not right now, but just maybe over the course of the last couple of years. It's an adaptogen.
Ashwagandha.
Yeah, right? Like that is why people get great results with ashwagandha, because it is an adaptogenic herb that helps your body adapt to stress. It helps your adrenals respond. And a lot of people get good results, but if you don't address the underlying issues, right, it can only get you so far. It can only move that needle so much.
Yeah, and some people don't respond well to ashwagandha either.
Especially
it can cause
long-term.
more problems.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's why it's really important to be careful with that. It's important with supplementation to make sure that you're getting good labs done and working with a practitioner or doctor who's helped guiding you along the way with those things. If you're interested in working with us, make sure that you click the link in the show notes below.
What supplement do you think is the most beneficial for adrenal health that everyone could take?
Yeah, that's the kicker, right? Because I mean, you could talk about ashwagandha. Licorice is great for certain people. Again, it depends on what your labs are. But if your adrenals are struggling, you should probably eat adrenals.
Yeah.
That's my logic.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Well, put it in a capsule, add some liver to it, and there you go, right? And that's something that we offer. If you're interested in adrenal glandular, shoot us a message. You can order them from our online store too.
Yeah, we'll link it in the show notes below.
Has good source of vitamin C too.
Yeah, vitamin C. Your adrenals are highly reliant on vitamin C to function. And a lot of people will start drinking like adrenal cocktails. You'll see that all over the place. And they use orange juice as the source of vitamin C, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, the sugar can be good, and your adrenals function off of sugar and salt too. So if you're noticing sugar cravings or salt cravings, your adrenals are probably a little bit bogged down and they need some help. So the adrenal cocktails are actually very helpful. But you could also just take the adrenal glandular, full of vitamin C, full of the actual adrenal glands. So if you want to heal those organs, you got to eat those organs.
Yeah, and I mean, you could even do things like the lemon and lime, not just the whole lemon and lime itself. That's going to, one, provide a bunch of antioxidants. This is going to help with that mitochondrial stress that can happen when the adrenals get stressed out too, right? And impact that ATP production. And then you can also add, mineralized salt in there and a bunch of other things as well that are going to help just support that entire process and pathway, right? All right. I believe that's going to be it for this section. We're going to move on to
Mythbuster.
Awesome. And we are back to the Mythbuster section. One day we should dress up as the Mythbusters. Did you ever watch that show growing up?
I think I did in like psychology class or something.
I love that show. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, like I think the one that I liked the most was people who like swerve in and out of traffic and end up at the same stoplight as someone who was just going with the flow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big, I think they just, or maybe I just heard about this recently, but they changed their mind with walking versus running in the rain. I remember that one too. Initially, they said that walking in the rain is more effective. You don't get as wet. And then they redid the study, and it's actually you should run. Probably reduces your risk of getting struck by lightning too, right? But yeah, there were some really cool episodes on Mythbusters.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we should dress up as them.
I think one of them's bald. So
I'm not shaving my head, so you can do that.
Okay.
Or we could shave Vinny's head and bring him on the show.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we're not going to subject Vinny to this show.
No. Not yet, at
Not yet.
least. Anyways.
If we get 200,000 or 200, we'll say 200, not 200,000, 200 subscribers, we'll get Vinny on here for a cameo.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive into the first myth. Or is it just one myth?
Just one, yeah.
Break it down.
Cortisol is the bad guy. That's a myth.
Yeah. I mean, I believe most people who come into our office, who send us messages, they think this to be true.
Yeah.
How can I reduce my cortisol? How can I reduce my cortisol? Look, your cortisol helps reduce and regulate your inflammation.
Yeah.
Right?
I think if you don't, just remember, if you don't have cortisol, that means you're dead.
Yeah.
So you have to have cortisol. It's just, it can become too high, it can become too low. That's when you develop the symptoms that are associated with cortisol, whether that be weight gain, cortisol face, the fatigue, the wired but tired, the sleep issues. But cortisol is not the bad guy. You need it. And we talked about this earlier, where it comes from. It comes from the adrenal glands. It's usually in response to stress, but it also just gets you out of bed in the morning.
Mm-hmm. And it's important to remember that most things in our body, I would say almost all things, they're there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They respond to our environment for a reason, right? Especially hormones, right?
Yep.
They're signaling molecules. They adapt to our environment.
Yep.
They do things for a reason. They do it to protect us, right? So just trying to reverse that whole process isn't what you should be doing. You should be finding out, okay, why is your body adapting this way, and what can you do about it, right? For example, like with my Crohn's, right? My immune system was upregulated and couldn't regulate itself, essentially. That was not necessarily a mistake, but just overburdening, right? So when we talk about cortisol and stress, it's finding out what all that toxic and stress overload is, so we can decrease some of it, so our body can regulate itself properly. Right?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, so cortisol is not the bad guy.
No, it never is.
Your stress is the bad guy. What causes high cortisol is the bad guy. But cortisol itself is not. We need it. Our bodies need it. And like a lot of people, need to understand, like I said, it gets you up in the morning. So cortisol starts to rise at about 2, 3 in the morning. So if you're someone that notices that you're waking up in the middle of the night consistently around that 1 to 3 a.m., you're probably dealing with high stress, and you're probably having issues with your circadian rhythm. So you should get your body tested, get a Dutch test done, use the link in our description to learn the steps on how.
And that is exactly where it can be really difficult for individuals who don't go to bed until 1 or 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right? So when you finally start trying to go to bed at that time and your cortisol is already beginning to elevate, it's going to be a hard day for you, right?
Yeah.
And that dysregulation is going to come into play, and your body's not really going to know what time it is. And then you wake up in the morning, you don't go outside, you have no idea what's going on. Your body gets confused. And if you do that day after day, week after week, month after month, where are you going to be?
Right. And I think you said last week something about how if there was a prescription for everything that exercise does, that it would, everyone would do it. I think the same thing goes for sleep.
Yep. Everyone says, well, I don't have time.
Oh.
Right? I mean, you're a victim of this too. I don't.
I am. Don't at me right now.
I don't sacrifice it as much as you do.
Yeah.
Obviously, child can definitely play a role in that, but you're a victim of it when it comes to work. But the reality is this: if you don't sleep, you don't repair.
Yep.
At all, right? If you don't repair, you are not going to be your best self the next day.
Yeah.
If you're not yourself best self the next day, you are not going to perform well at work for your family. You're not going to make money, and you're going to be scrambling, and you're going to be staying up the next night trying to play catch up. Would
you say that our day is dictated by how much sleep I get?
100%.
Yeah. What happens if I don't get a lot of sleep?
Oh my goodness.
You can be honest.
If you're not getting your sleep, you aren't 100% yourself.
Yeah.
the next day, you can't contribute. And I will pick up the slack, right?
But I'm more irritable, moody. I'm mean. I'm meaner.
Right. And that's back to what I'm saying. Like, you don't show up to work. You don't show up for your relationships. You don't show up to anything because you're already behind.
Yeah. Yep. And I can tell, like, I can feel it. It may be where I'm like subconsciously not even recognizing that my mood has changed, but like I can feel the difference if I don't get a good night's sleep. Like I can feel how short tempered I get. I can tell. I'm like, oh, I snapped a little bit, sooner than I normally would have. How much sleep did I get last night? I actually will do that mental check with myself because some nights are worse than others, especially with a toddler.
And I mean, same thing goes for me. There are some nights where, I don't sleep well either.
Yeah.
Right. Especially back when I was going through my Crohn's flares,
Yeah.
the night sweats 4 or 5 times a night, essentially. I would lay with like a garbage bag on the bed because I would just be sweating.
Yeah.
Literal buckets, and I'd be freezing. I'd have to go sleep on the floor. I'd change positions like 800 times, and I could never heal or repair.
Yeah. I will say I had to buy new sheets because there was a mark on the sheets from when you would have night sweats.
It's awful because you sweat and then you're hot.
Yeah.
And then you get cold, and then that sweat gets cold.
Yeah. I had postpartum night sweats. Those weren't fun.
No.
It felt like I peed my pants.
I thought so sometimes. I'm like, did I?
Yeah, I know. I get it. Oh, so I mean, I couldn't imagine like being in menopause too. Like women are experiencing this all the time, and I think that's something I don't think we touched on it much, but in menopause, people are having menopausal symptoms, right? And they're calling it perimenopause. They're having that transition phase from being cyclical into menopause, and they develop all these symptoms like hot flashes or weight gain or fatigue. They get irritable. They have mood swings. Like those are the most common symptoms that I hear from patients that come see me for this specific reason. And it's mostly these busy moms or women who had busy work lives, or they prioritize their career, and it's that hustle culture, I think, that really set them up for failure, and they have a really hard time regulating their bodies because of their cortisol response, their adrenal response. And when you get into menopause, majority of your hormone production comes from your adrenal glands. So if your body's prioritizing those stress hormones, it's not going to prioritize your sex hormones like your androgens, and you're going to end up with these menopausal symptoms.
Yep. Hustle culture, especially for what, like, every woman right now just wants to be this exec, this CEO, the breadwinner. I don't know what happened, but where has the pride went when it comes to being a mom? The most important job in the entire world, raising our youth, pouring into them. I think that is the most important job on the planet. You couldn't pay enough for that job.
Yeah.
And it's just not desired as much right now.
No.
Right? I mean,
I could argue that the day-to-day, the 9 to 5 work schedule was based off the male patterns that we talked about last week on our episode about testosterone, right?
But I mean, if you want to be, that exec CEO, you want to be a hardworking, woman, and you want to do those things, there's nothing holding you back against that. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
But right now, I feel like it's like looked down upon to be a mother.
It is, and there's a ton of shaming that goes on online. Trust me, been there. You can't do anything right as a mom, whether you breastfeed or formula feed, or you use screen time or you don't use screen time, any of those things, someone's gonna have a comment to say about it. I've been subjected to plenty of comments about the way I choose to parent our child.
You can only imagine.
And you don't get comments as much as me.
No.
Because you're the dad. Everyone is always like quick to jab at the mom. Maybe that's why people don't want to be a mom, because people are so opinionated. And a lot of times it comes from behind a screen. People are very brave behind a screen. And I think that's ridiculous.
Well, and a lot of the times too, right? Like, golden rule is treat others like you want to be treated. But I'm sure a lot of people speaking on this, a lot of them aren't even moms.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? Or have no
Or with a different
plan.
time.
Sure, or they don't have a plan to become a mother,
Yeah.
or want to start a family down the road, and they're just someone sitting on behind a screen,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where, right, because and you see this too right now. I know we're getting a little off track here, but people are proud that the population rate is declining. People are like proud. They're sticking it to our government officials
That
right
doesn't
now
make
and the people in
sense.
power to because of what they're apparently doing with women's rights, essentially. I think that's absolutely garbage. I think one of the most important things that we could do on this earth is repopulate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's like kind of what we were designed to do.
yeah.
You know, we weren't put on this earth to just work.
Right.
You know, we were put on this earth to, I mean, I believe this, to follow God, right? Live in his image. I mean, I'm not going to get too religious here, but I think we were
I
meant
think
to.
I think you can. This is our podcast. You
Yeah.
can say what you want.
Right. Well,
And if you guys like this stuff, that's awesome. Comment down below if this is content that you like. We could talk about this all day too.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, my grandpa always used to say, you talk to God, you follow the 10 commandments, you treat others with respect and be kind, right? Treat others the way you want to be treated. I live by that rule day to day. I live by everything that my grandpa used to tell me. And I think that we were put on this earth to be parents. Like I think that's just like part of what our lives are for. Right. I think women were meant to be mothers. That's why we were given the organs that we were given. That's why our bodies don't do this by mistake. We aren't given these hormones by mistake. Mothers are supposed to be nurturing. They're nurturing with the hormones. Men don't have those nurturing hormones as much as women do, right? So that's why they're less nurturing, but they're meant to be more competitive. They're meant to be providers. They're meant to be the hunter gatherers, right?
and protective.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we were biologically built this way by design. It's
And
not a mistake.
people try to change this biology or this physiology, and
Yeah.
it's not going to happen.
No. I mean, and it's insane. It's insane.
So, really off topic here. I don't care. This stuff is awesome.
Cortisol's not the bad guy.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we were talking about. Then we
Yeah.
dove into this. Again, if you guys like this kind of content, comment down below because I would love confirmation that this is stuff you like to hear, and we'll make podcasts and episodes all about this.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Let's dive into is it health news that's next? Let's do it.
All right.
Alrighty, back to my favorite segment of the show, the news section.
Health news.
So Lena brought her handy dandy computer out here, and we're going to dive into a couple topics. Wait, did you add a new sticker?
I did.
The Heart and Soil sticker?
Yeah, I did.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, and if you don't know what Heart and Soil is, it's Paul Saladino's company, right? Focusing on
not sponsored, by the way, but I like their stuff.
It's really good, right?
Yeah.
And then Lineage Provisions is their other one. And then you have Figs, and then you have
Stranger
it Hellfire Club?
Yeah, Stranger Things. I'm a big fan.
Couple months, 2 months until
November.
season 5.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm very excited.
Stranger Things is so good.
Yeah, you need to watch it. I had a hard time convincing Colin to watch it, but I got him to finally watch it, and then he was obsessed.
It's really good. I just don't like watching it late at night because I would have dreams about those monsters all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like a
about
really
Vecna.
vivid dreamer. Okay. All right. News and notes.
Okay, so wellness energy drinks are hurting our youth, essentially. So there are trendy wellness energy drinks. They're containing a roughly 160 to 300 milligrams of caffeine per can. Also paired with things like taurine or guarana and other stimulants that are contributing to health problems in these kids. And we all know that they're not just consuming one energy drink per day. So
no, and you know what people love to do? They love to say, "Oh, people working in ERs and hospitals, they love to bash the chiropractors. They love to bash things that kind of go against what they believe."
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with energy drinks? Right? People are going in with problems there.
Yeah.
Right? You see it all the time.
Yeah.
You hear about
visits, like crazy. Like these kids online, they're like, "Oh, I drank 2 energy drinks a day, and then I ended up in the ER and I have a heart arrhythmia, or I had a seizure, or I had really bad chest pain.
You see 12-year-olds
Yeah.
running around on scooters drinking these things at 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
This is suppressing your appetite,
Yep.
throwing off your blood glucose.
Yep. Your stress response is going crazy. Right?
They're usually packed full of sugars, and if they're not, they're artificial sweeteners, which are just going to disrupt things even more.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no regulation on those things, right? Like you can, if you could walk to the grocery store at 10 and order one, buy one, you could.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's that new one called Feel Free that contains something called kratom, which is basically a plant-derived opioid.
Wow.
It mitigates those it causes those types of responses that opioids can present with. And these kids, I think that one's age regulated. But there are kids that are going up to random strangers and they're asking people to go into gas stations and buy them for them.
That's insane.
I know. And I think people think we have caffeine deficiencies, and so they're just constantly consuming these drinks. And I'm not gonna say I've never had an energy drink before. I used to drink 3 Monsters a day.
Yep.
I'm not proud of that.
Well, and the Monsters taste good. Have you heard about the reason on how like Red Bulls were made? Apparently, they were engineered to taste bad, and that was on purpose. Right, and their plan was to keep things in smaller cans and dosages. And there was some reason. I wish I should probably have had that for you guys, but there's some sort of reason on why they decided to make them actually not taste that good.
Really?
It had something to do with like the energy spike that you got from them, and them understanding that you don't need a lot of it, and almost influencing them not to drink a lot of it. And then Monster went and did the opposite.
Yeah.
Which made them taste good.
I remember in elementary school, there was a kid in my class who used to drink Monsters. Elementary school, like we're 10, 4th grade. He would drink Monster energy drinks. I'm like, I never even heard of those when I was in 4th grade, but he would drink them, and this kid, you could tell he was drinking them.
Could you have them in class?
No, we couldn't, but he would drink them like at home and stuff. But you could tell.
Yeah,
you could just tell. But yeah, like when we talk about caffeine isn't necessarily bad, but it is going to mimic that fight or flight response and cause a dysfunction of the HPA axis, right? Spiking your cortisol.
And again, if you're just relying on caffeine to get energy, you're ignoring the elephant in the room that you can't wake up in the morning with higher levels of energy. You can't get through the day. And if you're just going to supplement it with it, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yep. Exactly.
You're going to be held captive to ordering 2 or 3 of those a day for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And just remember, like, when you drink one energy drink, that's about 300 milligrams of caffeine just by itself. And if you're having multiple of those a day, you're putting yourself in harm's way.
And you're most likely substituting that for other fluids or liquids that can be beneficial, that can actually be good for hydration.
Like water.
And you're most like if you're consuming that much caffeine, your appetite is going to be suppressed. You're going to be nutrient deficient. You're going to be protein deficient, and you're not going to get anywhere. And what you're going to get out of it is a dopamine rush, and you're going to associate that with that energy drink, and that's what you're going to keep gravitating towards. You're not going to associate your dopamine rush with actually being a productive member of society or eating protein dense meals or things that you actually should be doing.
Yep.
Guys, yeah, that's heartbreaking to hear.
And kids, like that's not, we don't want to mess around with kids.
But let's just, I'm sure it's not going to get regulated at all.
No.
It's just going to keep staying on the shelves. And again, most people will say, well, they're fine for you, right? Like it's all about the safe limits.
Yeah.
These things compound so fast, guys.
Insane. Yep.
Okay.
There's a new study that came out. A 2025 cross-sectional study found that midlife women experiencing moderate or high stress had worse menopausal symptoms, psychosocial, physical, and sexual, and heightened levels of depression. Elevated stress was also linked to a blunted cortisol awakening response, suggesting dysregulated adrenal rhythms. It's like
everything we talked about already, right?
Everything we already mentioned today.
And they're saying that they're realizing this is all connected?
I guess. Finally.
Okay. I mean, yeah,
What took
we've
you
been
so
saying
long?
that. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's so they reported actually worse hot flashes, mood swings, and sexual health challenges like dryness or deep pelvic pain. Um, which and we already talked about this, right? During menopause, the adrenals take over hormone production. So if you're under stress, your adrenals are going to prioritize the stress rather than your hormone production. I've run hundreds of labs on menopausal women, and their hormone levels are tanked because their stress is so high. So ladies, if you take anything from this episode and you're heading towards that age of menopause, get your stress under control.
But doctors won't tell you that because they want to, well, they don't necessarily want to put you on something, but their game plan is just let's ride the wave. If you've got stressors, you've got gut infections, you've got mold, you got a bad environment, you got, a bad circle around you, you have a stressful job, just take the punches. And then when your body can't produce enough, don't worry, we have a product that's great for you. It's called hormone replacement therapy. You're going to feel wonderful, and take this the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great business model. We talk about this every single episode. Again, I'm not telling you to take or not take a medication. We cannot do that. But there definitely is that perspective.
Incentive, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's pretty good for the news. We'll keep an eye out for what's going on locally, obviously, with new legislation, new research. Again, please send us news. You can send it to our email at wesleychapel@thewellnessway.com. You can send it to in our DMs on social medias, and we will put them all together and break them down for you into something that's digestible.
Yep.
Awesome. Let's move on to our next category, which is
mailbag.
Awesome. I still can't remember the order. All right, let's get into the mailbag.
We're in the mailbag.
Let's hear them.
All right. So, a couple questions here. Why do I always wake up at 3 a.m. even when I go to bed early?
Well, you touched on this.
I did a little bit,
right? A
yeah.
little bit about the adrenals. Repeat what you said.
So remember, cortisol starts to rise around 2 to 3 in the morning. Okay. So if you're waking up in the middle of the night, that means your cortisol is spiking too high and it's telling you to wake up, time to wake up. So there's obviously some sort of stressor on your body, whether that be blood sugar issues, maybe you ate too close to bedtime, maybe you have, a stressful work, like stressful job, stressful home life, whatever it is, or you have other issues like food allergies, infections, toxicity. Something is stressing out your body, causing this inappropriate spike in your cortisol. Now it's just going too high.
Yeah, and I would say audit your environment as well. If your environment is too warm, this can contribute to it. If your environment is too bright, okay, whether those are from windows, I know a lot of people fall asleep to TVs and other artificial lights. That can contribute to it as well, and also sounds, right?
Yeah.
So I know there are people listening to this right now that fall asleep with the TV on.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. And you have to wake up, you have to turn it off, or you keep it on. That is destroying your sleep. And it's impacting your cortisol.
Yep.
Okay. What else?
Personal question.
Oh boy.
What do you two do at home when you feel burned out? Do you have a go-to routine or ritual?
Great question. Burnt out, I feel like we get different types of burnout.
Yeah.
I get work burnout, right? Just from content creation and just kind of getting into this pattern of just going through the motions. My favorite thing is to get inspired. I go to seminars. I do.
Yeah.
I go to seminars and I come back and don't I just want to run through a brick wall?
Yeah.
So,
I'm like, slow your roll, buddy.
Continued education, get around other people who aren't burnt out at that moment. They will reignite that fire for you. It is the coolest thing. It's worth every penny. I love going to seminars and educational events.
Yeah.
That's like probably my favorite thing as far as work burnout. Going on dates is so important. I think that's important. And then occasionally taking a day.
Yeah.
So, something that Charlie Kirk likes to do is he does a whole media fast. Okay, from Friday, I believe it's from Friday after work at like 5 o'clock until Saturday. He does a whole 24 hours where he does not even touch his phone. He turns it off. Okay. I think that's great
Yeah.
for burnout. You get connected back with your surroundings, the people around you. You disconnect for one day. It doesn't necessarily need to be Saturday
Yeah.
to Sunday to 5. Find something that works best for you.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great thing too. So I gave a couple different options there. Tell me
Yeah.
what you like.
Well, I think all of yours really stem back to just reconnecting to things, whether that be me by going on dates, reconnecting to your passion by going to seminars, reconnecting to whatever. I think you just like to reconnect, like find that connection again. I think that's what helps with your burnout a lot. For me, I get burned out more easily now than I used to. I think my body just kind of is now taking the hits from when I was in college and I didn't take good care of myself.
Do you get like physical burnout too? Because I mean, Vinny is always attached at
I
your
feel
hip.
like mine's more mental burnout, if anything. Physically, I don't, my body doesn't feel tired. My brain feels tired, if that makes sense. Like, I could push through it physically, but because I have to, but mentally it's really hard, and I feel the effects of it most mentally and emotionally. So I like to go to the beach.
That's great. And back to reconnecting,
Getting
you're
outside.
connecting with the earth. You're
Yeah.
connecting with the
With
environment.
nature. Yeah, I love to go outside. Every weekend I go to the beach. I show up so much better on the following Monday. I show up better just across the board.
We try to go as much as possible. Right?
I love being in the sun. I love being outside. I love it's just the most underrated form of medicine that you can possibly get.
And it's not necessarily just this, it's just being out and connected with nature.
Yeah.
I mean, even my hunting trips like that, I come back and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, grounding play a huge role in that too.
Yeah, even sitting on my patio.
Oh,
like sitting on the patio, just looking outside. We have a really nice backyard. It's just a cow pasture. So we see the cows out there.
We watch them freak out when there's a lightning storm.
Yeah, they literally scream.
They do. I've never heard that in my entire life.
Either. I didn't know that they like get nervous when it like thunderstorms.
And it's so cute because there's a couple trees in the cow pasture, so they all run and they like huddle together under the tree. It's the cutest thing.
Yeah, they like literally will scream at the top of their lungs.
It's so funny.
I like to be outside. I think that really, really helps to rejuvenate me. I almost feel the earth's like positive electrons fueling my body, and I'm releasing the negative electrons. I used to lifeguard at this beach back in Ohio, and my boss, I thought he was absolutely batshit crazy because he would talk about grounding. I thought he was nuts. And he would talk about the transfer of negative electrons. He's like, get your feet in the water, get your feet in the sand, the transfer of the electrons. I thought he was nuts. But now looking back, I'm like, we would have been such good friends.
Does that give you any perspective on people who are hearing some of this stuff for the first time? They're like, wow, these two people are fucking nuts.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely puts into perspective. Like, you guys probably think we're insane, but I mean, seriously, like,
the best thing to do is everything that we say, go look it up.
Yeah.
Formulate your own opinions.
Yep.
And go from there.
Yeah, I mean, and your opinions are allowed to change. I mean, obviously. Like I said, I used to think my boss was crazy, but he's this crazy old kook. But no, he was right on the money.
I love it. So. All right, those are some good mailbag questions. Again, you can ask us more questions. You can send them, DM them to us. You can send them to wesleychapel@thewellnessway.com. Any way that you can get a hold of us, we'd love to put them on the queue of questions to answer. Awesome. Let's move on to the final segment, which is your health homework. Alrighty, time for your least favorite part of the podcast. Time for you to get to work with some health homework. Okay. We're going to give you a couple things this week to focus on. Really easy, free things that you can do to help better your health. Do you want to go? You want to go first?
Sure. I think you went first last time.
All right. Yeah. Your turn. We take turns.
So one thing I want you to start doing is eating breakfast. Okay. Lots of people are skipping breakfast. and you're going straight for your cup of coffee, like we talked about earlier, it's not necessarily good for your health, right? To be skipping breakfast. So make sure you're making breakfast with good protein and good fats, whether that be a protein shake, a bone broth shake, or chicken sausage with an avocado, whatever it is, just make sure you're eating breakfast, not a donut, not a bowl of cereal, but a good protein and fat rich breakfast.
And it's not necessarily like the carbohydrates. It's just there's nothing in them.
There's no nutritional content, no.
At all.
Mm-mm.
Right? Something I always thought about, right, is like when it comes to breakfast food, think about like pancakes, for example.
Yeah.
You do pancakes with chocolate chips and maple syrup on top of it, right?
Yep.
And maybe people add powdered sugar and a bunch of stuff. What difference is that between eating that and a piece of pie for breakfast?
Seriously,
almost nothing,
yeah.
right? Honestly, you might get more from pie.
Yeah. Well, like you get fruit.
Yeah.
I always say this when I do a food education consultation with patients, like we'll talk about breakfast. A lot of people are allergic to eggs, so people struggle then with breakfast. But I always say breakfast is very carb heavy and it's very egg heavy, but you don't always have to have breakfast food for breakfast.
No.
You could eat leftovers from the night before. I've eaten steak and sauerkraut for breakfast. We've eaten steak tacos for breakfast.
If you need sweet and savory for breakfast, lock in here for 2 seconds. I'm telling you right now, honey and cinnamon will make every food on the planet taste like breakfast food.
Mm-hmm.
And you throw that in a hash. You just put it on
potatoes,
top.
Yeah.
Easy. You can put it on meats or proteins too. You can put that on salmon.
Mm-hmm.
You can put that on. I wouldn't put it on steak. You can put honey on steak,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't put cinnamon.
I put it on
steak.
ground beef.
Yeah. Oh, I did that this morning. I
Yeah.
did cinnamon and honey on that ground beef.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that in itself can trick your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
All right. You have any other health homework?
I suggest if you're wanting to learn more about how your adrenals function, what they do, how you can really heal them through certain lifestyle practices and supplementation, definitely download our Healing the Adrenals guide. This will be linked in our description below. Make sure you take advantage of it. There's tons of resources in here. You'll get lots of education, learn how to test your body, and learn how you can heal naturally.
Awesome. And it's completely free.
Completely free.
I love it.
Completely free.
Alrighty, here's my homework. Pretty simple. I want you to audit your circle. So one big thing that can really stress your body out or completely drain you are the people around you, right? And the last thing you want is to surround yourself with losers or assholes.
Yeah.
So, and you will become the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. So audit your circle. Who are you spending time with? Are they beneficial? Are they helping you? Are they pouring into you, or are they taking away from you? Look into that.
Are they chronic complainers?
Oh, seriously.
If I hear one more person complain and then they're not actively going to do something about it.
I was guilty of that, Lena. When I would complain at team meetings, she's like, "So what's your solution?"
Yeah.
Like,
you would get so
I still
so
do that
mad.
sometimes. Yeah.
You get so mad. It's like, okay, I understand the problem. So what are we gonna do about it?
Yeah. So yeah, audit your circle. I think that's really important. Write down the 5 people you spend the most time with, and ask yourself, are they helping you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is not me saying break up with your significant other, but just
don't blame him for that.
Yeah, I know. All right, that is your health homework. Pretty simple stuff. I hope you learned something. Run with this. Your adrenals, your energy, your stress response, your adaptation to stress. Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else this week, Lena?
Nope, that about covers it.
Alrighty, guys. We will see you next Thursday. We're going to be discussing what did we even decide?
I think thyroid.
Oh, we're going to break down thyroid health a little bit more.
Yeah, thyroid hormones.
Awesome.
We're still on our hormone kick for our episodes.
Yeah, and even in the comments below, if you want to recommend any other categories or topics, we're going to keep this structure with mailbag, with homework, with the news. The one segment that will change week to week would be the root cause rundown, where we break down a different component to your health. That could be anything under the sun. So if you have any recommendations or something that you want to see, make sure you put it in the comment section below.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you all for listening. Make sure that you hit the like. Make sure that you share this show with others. That's the best way to support us.
Mm-hmm.
And hit the bell icon so you don't miss an episode.
Yep.
Awesome. We will see you next Thursday. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Healthcare Rewritten podcast. Make sure you check the show notes for all the links that we discussed today and download this Adrenal guide. This is awesome. Lena worked really hard on this. There's a lot of really good information in here and you can learn a lot from it. Thanks for listening and we'll see you next week.